Women's Empowerment Act 2022 has been read the third time and passed into law.
Finally, the over 2 decades call from women and other rights-based groups in Sierra Leone for a law to promote gender equality was finally actualized in November 2022 with the enactment of the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Bill. Paragraph 319, Volume 2 of Chapter 3 of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report indicates that women and girls in Sierra Leone suffered historic structural inequality on account of their gender, further noting that gender inequality is entrenched in all spheres of social, political, and economic life by discriminatory laws, customs, traditions, and practices as shared by Aminata Masakoi, one among the few women who have been able to overcome these odds.
Background has been challenging from childhood. I am only girl to my mom among 7 boys. So first of all, I grew up knowing that I am a woman. So I've seen that. I've seen my mom being marginalized because of her gender. I've seen so many people in our family being marginalized because of our gender. We've seen women being put aside in sharing of properties. We've seen women being, they feel belittled because they are women.
The experience of Aminata is synonymous to many other women across the country. Hence, in paragraph 320 of the TRC report, points out discriminatory laws and customs in the areas of marriage, divorce, land rights, inheritance, and the administration of estates remain to be major obstacles in the transformation of women's lives, stressing the need for a law on protection.
Being an act to address the gender imbalances by making provision for increased appointments of women to decision-making positions and structures so as to achieve at least 30% representation, to provide for the promotion of gender equality in employment and training, to provide for the implementation of gender mainstreaming and budgeting, to provide for financial institutions to prescribe procedures for the improvement of women's access to finance, and to provide for other related matters.
The clamor to get this dream actualized has been a marathon one. Successive ministers from past governments have all made frantic efforts that ended unsuccessful. The unthinkable was finally being achieved by Minister Mantita Ali under the BIO-led government.
To reach to the bill, we started with a policy. When I was enacted in November 2019, one of the first achievements of the ministry was to develop the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Policy. We developed that in 2020. The policy speaks to 13 objectives across 10 sectors. That policy was launched by His Excellency, the President. That policy is what we have now, in its implementation, converted into an act.
But what are some of the key essentials and gender safeguards on the enactment of the Women's Empowerment Law? Minister Mantita Ali again.
In there, it mandates a minimum of 30% women in parliament, a minimum of 30% women in cabinet, a minimum of 30% women in the diplomatic service, with a minimum of 30% women in the civil service, with minimum of 30% women in local government, minimum of 30% women in the private sector where the company employs 25 or more staff. It also provides for access to finance. It mandates the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Sierra Leone to develop new methodologies, new approaches that will increase finance for women. It mandates mainstreaming.
Rights groups and women who have as well suffered challenges with the absence of such protection laws similarly made inputs on the availability of a law that protects their rights.
This is phenomenal. It's very instructive and we are really happy. For us, it is the starting point for women's empowerment and gender equality in Sierra Leone. So we are really happy from Campaign for Good Governance. This is a 20-years-old campaign that has come to reality today. So it's both revolutionary and it is historic. We now have a law.
I'm looking forward to a fair play. We are looking forward to implementation of this bill. We are looking forward to the support of the government.
In spite of the enactment of the much acclaimed bill some 2 months ago, there is still no presidential accent to the law, hence the fear over commitment to the process. With support from the Media Reform Coordinating Group through the African Transitional Justice Legacy Fund, Ronald Jomorovia, AYV News, Freetown.